And I'm going to tell my friend, and I'm going to set this up before I bring Merrill Reese in here. I have played Oakmont. Now, I don't know if Merrill has played it, but I will tell you this. If you ever play Oakmont, I think the first championship that they ever hosted was 1904. And I'm going to tell you, you need a stepladder to get in some of these bunkers. I mean, these bunkers are as deep as you can ever. I don't know. I think Baltusrol maybe has deeper bunkers. Now, Merrill has, he's in the champions locker room up there with the guys in Marion. So, I mean, he's in the champions club. He's got it. He's right next to Lee Trevino and like Gary Pate and all them guys, Jerry Pate. So I got to make sure we get this, but I want to know how many people believe that Merrill Reese, before you bring him in, has played Oakmont. Let's bring our friend, the legendary voice. Then we'll get to some Eagles. Merrill Reese joins us now. How you doing, my friend?
Good. I'm doing well, but if I had played Oakmont, I wouldn't be with you today because I would never be found. I would never gotten out of one of those bunkers. They would have had to come find me. But and it's tough. How about the church pew bunkers? It's unbelievable. But what, Dan, I have to tell you, as high as the scores are right now, just keep one thing in mind. In 2013, when they played the U.S. Open at Merrill, the winning score was 1 over par by Justin Rose.
Wow. And it goes to those roughs, doesn't it, Merrill? I mean, from what I'm understanding now, Phil Mickelson was complaining and everybody else is complaining about the roughs. And I've seen what I liked to do when I was younger. I played Wingfoot right after they played a U.S. Open there. And you play that rough. And I don't know if you've ever done that too at Marion when they hosted. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is the 10th time that Oakmont has hosted a USGA championship there. So, I mean, maybe it's the 10th time they've hosted the U.S. Open, I should say. But, I mean, have you ever played Marion when after a U.S. Open with that rough? Because, man, that stuff, I've played it. I don't know how those guys get out of that.
I have enough trouble playing Marion when they don't have the U.S. Open. It's a challenge. Of course, we have the East and the West course, and the West course is a beautiful course, too.
Let me ask you something about those old school courses. Oakmont, from what I remember Lee Trevino saying, Gary Player told me one time on my show, he said those old courses like Marion, Cherry Hill, Oakmont, Baltusrol, Fast Greens, second shot courses, they're not really set up for like big bombers. Now, they may have done some adjusting to some of these courses. I don't know what they've done to Marion, but I know that a lot of these are second shot courses. And you have to be a thinker's guy to get around that course. I mean, is that what you're talking about when you're talking how difficult these courses are?
The fact of the matter is, I mean, you have to be a shot maker to play Marion's Great East course. You've got to be a good putter. You've got to be great around the green. But the fact of the matter is, when you're talking about these courses that are set up at 7,800 yards, it doesn't bother these guys because the real skill of this game is the shot making and the ability to scramble and to hit the great chips and approaches to the green, because everybody on the tour today can hit it well over 300 yards.
Absolutely. Let's get to some Eagle stuff. I mean, Merrill, every time you play in the Super Bowl, I mean, now we're talking, it's a different era now.
Dan, can I tell you something? Just since we talked about golf, the Eagles raised a lot of money this Monday if they had their annual autism challenge, which was one of the greatest charity events, and they had so many wonderful players and coaches who were out playing in it. But I met one of the greatest superstars that I've ever met in my life and was able to have a conversation with him. And I can tell you that I've never met a nicer person than Ernie Els.
Wow. Ernie Els lives in Orlando. And I know a couple people. He lives at a golf course right next to Lou Holtz. And he lives there. And I've heard so many great things. What was the thing that you took away from meeting Ernie Els? I heard nothing but fabulous things about that guy.
His warmth, really. his warmth, the friendliness that he exhibited, the way he communicates with you. He was happy to be there. I mean, poor Ernie stood on the ninth tee the whole day, hitting a tee shot that you can use if you wanted to on that long par three. You could take his shot. And that's not an easy thing to do. I mean, I've had to do that on a couple of charity occasions, and I hate to do that. It drives you nuts after a while. But he did it, and he was great. And I had met him. Earlier at breakfast, and then by the time I came to the ninth tee, he goes, "Merrill, I've been waiting for you to come." You know,
Oh my God, that's great.
Stood right behind me when I hit my tee shot. Now, a couple of years ago, Brandon Matthews, one of the young golfers, was there, and I had talked to him at the dinner the night before. And when I got to the ninth tee, I wanted to show him that I can play this game a little, and I really wanted to show him. And I hit my shot, and I topped it. That went about 4 feet. And I felt like an idiot. But he looked at it and he said, "At least it's straight." But
Yeah.
here I am on the ninth tee, and Ernie Els, Hall of Fame, Ernie Els, winner of 2 U.S. Opens, 2 British Opens, 2 second-place finishes at the Masters. Ernie Els is watching me hit my tee shot. But you know what? I probably hit the best shot of my entire life. And he said, "Merrill, you've got a fine swing." But he was so nice. Oh, just everybody there loved him.
I got to say this to you. The owner donating $50 million, Jeffrey Lurie, to autism, to CHOP, and to the Children's Hospital there in Philadelphia. I mean, look, you've known Toes, you've known, Norman Brayman, you've known all kinds of owners between the Phillies and the Flyers and Ed Schneider, God rest his soul, and all that. I mean, just tell me what impact Jeffrey Lurie has had on the Philadelphia. I mean, I know he's from the New England area, if I'm not mistaken, but really, he's just really made such an impact, hasn't he, in the Philadelphia area?
Yeah, he really has. He's nobody has been more philanthropic. He's been wonderful. Each owner has had the charities that the team gets involved with. And they've all been very, very charitable. But I can tell you that Jeffrey is a wonderful man and has done a lot of great things. And I remember an assistant coach who was heading out of here, and he said, "I want to tell you something. I hope if I ever get a head coaching job, I hope it's for an owner like Jeffrey Lurie, because whatever that head coach wants, Jeffrey Lurie's answer is always yes. He supports his head coach. He supports the coaching staff, all the people in the organization. He does not micromanage. He's involved, but he's never going to be a guy who tells the coach what play to call."
You know what, though? When people say, you got an owner that's a meddling owner, you got an owner that's involved. I'm sorry, Merrill, but if I had a $7 billion business, I'm not just going to sit on my yacht and not do anything about it. I want to be involved in that because it's an investment that I want to see, because everybody knows there's certain football teams in our country that are not community prideful things or not civic pride. The Eagles are different. Panthers versus the Eagles. No disrespect to Carolina Panthers, but that team means more to people like Buffalo, the Bills. That means a lot to those guys. That's not something I wouldn't want my owner not being involved in.
Yeah, but see, Dan, here's where, and I think you'll turn around and agree with me. There's a difference when you are involved and you are hiring the best people you can, and they report ultimately to you. And you listen to the personnel department, and you watch the games, but you don't go down on the field at the end of the game. Your presence, you should not be on the sideline.
Now, is that a shot at Jerry Jones? Is that did I just hear a shot at Jerry and the Cowboys?
I'm not using names. I'm just saying I believe an owner belongs on the sideline. I remember doing games. I remember doing games at Lincoln Financial, at Veterans Stadium before Lincoln Financial Field, where the Eagles were playing a particular NFL team. And the booth next to us on the other side of the glass was the assistant coach's booth for the visiting team. And an owner went into that booth and put on the headset and started speaking directly to the coach about the plays he was calling in the middle of a game. You don't want that involvement. That's not the involvement you should be have as an owner is to hire the best people, let them do their jobs, and if they're not doing their jobs, get better people. But the owner, I mean, is not. Well, you're a little bit different because you have college and pro football experience. But even if you were an owner, I would think you would know
I would.
stop
Right.
to delegate.
Absolutely. I learned that from Jimmy Johnson. You're only as powerful as the ones around you. You're only going to be as good as a coach, the
Right.
people you have around you. The only other time, Merrill, I've ever seen that, I'll give you something. My wife and I were we saw that. So we were at the Oakland Coliseum. I was in the broadcast booth. And sure enough, man, I'm sitting there. I'm getting ready to do because I was on the broadcasting for the Raiders. Here comes Al. He puts that headset on. He starts going down there to Tom Flores.
Yeah.
He was Tom Flores. It was Art Shell or one of those guys. He starts talking down there to these guys, and I'm going like, hey, man, I wouldn't want that, my owner getting on a headset. So anyway, hey, by the way, I want you to do me a favor the next time you see Saquon Barkley. I want you to tell him he's full of BS, and I'm going to tell you why. If you think golf soothes your soul, and if you think golf takes your mind off things, I mean, I heard him go, I'm addicted to golf. I need it. It gets me away from the game. I'm like, I have never in my life swore more at a sporting event than when I play golf. And so he's trying to sell me that that's how he gets relaxation. Merrill, how many rounds have you ever walked off the round and go, I feel pretty satisfied today about my round of golf? How many times? 5? Come on, Saquon.
You know what?
Golf is not relaxing.
Well, it depends. It depends on what you're doing. I mean, some of the athletes, they need some money to play that game. They do some heavy wagering because they need that to stoke their competitive fires. I play golf for the fun of it. I'll wake up on a Sunday morning and I'll say to Cindy, my wife, let's go play 9 holes together. And we'll go out there and the two of us will play 9 holes together. And it's the most relaxing 9 holes. And I'm not particularly concerned of whether I had a bogey or a birdie. We're just out there and it's so beautiful. And I enjoy every good shot and don't take the other shots seriously. Or I have a foursome. We play together every week, every Wednesday or Thursday. And we have a great time. And none of that bothers me. We play the 9 and dines. We do all of that stuff. My wife and I played in a tournament last week called Burgers with a Twist, where we played 9 holes with other couples and came back and had burgers and a regular barbecue.
Oh, I love that.
I'm more of a pleasure golfer. I'm not playing for the club championship. And I'm not going to scare anybody with my 14 handicap. I just love the game. I love it. I love it. I love it. I didn't start playing until I was 50. I grew up as a tennis player and played a lot of tournaments. And there I was very, very competitive and worked hard for every single point. I mean, I wasn't Carlos Alcaraz, but I hustled and I dug in and I won a lot of matches. But as far as golf is concerned, I'm concerned when I can't get out of a bunker in 3 shots. There are a lot of things in golf that can drive you nuts. But overall, I just love the sport, and I do get a lot of relaxation out of it.
Oh, yeah. So wait a minute. You and Mike Quick, no Nassau's. No, are you trying to tell me no Nassau's ever between you and Quick?
Mike and I play quite a bit, and I play in his tournament that he has for First Tee of Greater Philadelphia, and then he comes out and he plays. Mike is a member of Pine Valley.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so Doug Peterson used to go by and say, Marion and Pine Valley, I'm in good shape. But Mike is just a great guy. Mike and I will play more for fun than anything else.
A couple of Eagle questions here for you, Merrill. How do you think the offseason's gone so far? I mean, so much lost, and yet, there's nobody, in my opinion, that has surpassed the Eagles talent-wise. I mean, there were decisions that were made this offseason that were going to benefit 26, 27, and 28, obviously. But still, with the focus on this year, and there were a lot of exits, a lot of new names coming in. How do you feel about it so far? And just what you've seen with the way that the team has acted and what the team is doing going forward.
I have a lot of people who come up to me. I've done a lot of speaking engagements. Today I just spoke at the Philadelphia Sports Medicine Congress down at Jefferson Hospital. And I have a lot of people who want to know how I feel the Eagles are going to do this year. And that's a natural question. And when the schedule comes out, the first thing a lot of fans do is they put it down and put down a W here and an L here and a W here. And they do it on all the talk shows. You know that.
Oh, absolutely.
Papers take up 2 pages to have each of their 5 football writers say what the Eagles will do from week to week to week to week to week. I don't have a clue. And I'm being honest with you because it's not who you're playing. It's when you're playing them. I mean, what if the Eagles are playing Washington late in the season and Jaden Daniels is hurt? It's a different game. What if the Eagles are playing Washington late in the season and Lane Johnson is out? See, I have a theory that, number one, I agree with you. The Eagles, when they start the season against the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday, September the 4th, the Eagles will have the best roster in the National Football League. They will have the most complete team in the National Football League on September the 4th. But if any team, if you're a 14-3 team as they were last year, and you lose the wrong 3 people for long stretches at the wrong time of the season, you could become an 8-9 or 9-8 team.
Absolutely.
That's everybody. So we don't really know. The Eagles do a lot of intelligent things. I came around, love Nick Sirianni, but I was not a proponent of a training camp that it pretty much consisted of shorter practices.
Me too.
The ground, no regulars in the preseason. You know, when I do a preseason game with Mike, I've got to put about 4 or 5 different topics in my notebook that I can talk to him about to keep some interest in the broadcast.
Yeah.
Most of the players are only known to their mothers. So I've got to do that. But I think they've got to be better going into the season. So they go into September and they played a decent game and beat the Packers in Brazil, and then came back and they lost the game where Saquon dropped a pass at the end against Atlanta. Then they go to New Orleans, who had scored a lot of points, but they turned out not to be very good, and the Eagles got by them. Then the Eagles played Tampa Bay, and they were so bad that the Bucs looked like they were operating against air.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bucs did anything. Of course, Devontae Smith was hurt that game. A.J. Brown was out.
Lane.
So my son Nolan was in from California, and he said to me when I got off the air, Dad, he said, I've got to tell you, this team, this Eagles team is not going to win more than 7 games.
No.
Nolan, just watch. And they came after the bye, and boom, each week they got better and better. They only lost 1 more game at Washington when Jalen Hurts.
And obviously, if you count that, if Jalen played a whole game, they were undefeated all the way through the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. So you don't know. But here's the thing. I said you got to do it the way. I love what Dan Campbell's doing in Detroit. He has them hitting from day one. He has regulars playing during the preseason. So what happened? The Eagles go into the playoffs with 22 healthy starters. And Detroit played that division game with Washington, if I'm not mistaken, with 18 players on injured reserve and got knocked out. So I think Nick is right. I think Howie Roseman is right. And I think we ought to realize that except in rare instances where a coach treats it differently, those 4 September games are what the preseason games used to be.
Merrill, I'm gonna follow your lead on this from now on. So, in your opinion, when you're putting a roster together, it's about the sequencing of players, which means, like you said, last year they had the perfect combination of players at the right positions, with the right depth, the right roster, with the right health.
Mm-hmm.
That is what won that team that Super Bowl, with them getting better and better and better. And the version of the Eagles in September versus the Eagles in November, there's going to be all different teams. Every month for 6 months, there's going to be a different Eagle team in your eyes. Is that how you look at a particular season?
You're right. And I'm going to tell you the 2 biggest names that had to do with the Eagles doing what they did last year. Now, take nothing away from Jalen Hurts, because I love him. I think he's a great quarterback. And I think that one day we'll look back and say he was the greatest Eagles quarterback ever. And I think he's right there with the best quarterbacks in football right now. Don't forget, he's outplayed Patrick Mahomes 3 straight games. All right, but the 2 biggest names for this team last year were Vic Fangio and Saquon Barkley. Those were the biggest difference makers from the year before. Oh, and one other thing, and I say this to Eagles fans now. Last June the 13th, if I said the name to you, Zach Bourne, would you have had any idea who he was?
You might as well have said Azeez Ojulari to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what Eagle fans who I talk to all the time, that's what they say back to me. Sills, didn't you say Zach Bourne was a nobody last year? I said, yeah, because he was a nobody in New Orleans. I had no idea that Oren Burks would have that backup role. I mean, where Jacoby goes down, I mean, he had no drop-off in the playoffs when he got in there. There were so many things that you were talking about here, Merrill, that went right. Isaiah Rodgers, who had missed an entire year.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, when Slay goes out, they put him in there. And no question, couple last ones here for you. Merrill, are you concerned about the 420 touches? I'll give you a number. Since Penn State, 2,130 carries. And Saquon Barkley's 9-year, 3-year starting at Penn State and his 6 years in the NFL. Are you concerned about that number going into this year with the volume of carries that he's had?
No, I'm really not. I don't even think about that. I mean, you hope that he stays healthy. If you want to talk about odds on that,
no.
Running back, you never know. But I know that Saquon Barkley is at the peak of his career right now. He's in great shape. So going into the season, those other figures don't mean anything. He's not a tire losing tread. He's in good shape. But if teams want to try to stop him the way the Chiefs did in the Super Bowl and say, we're going to stop Saquon Barkley and make Jalen Hurts beat us with his arm, Jalen Hurts will beat you with his arm. This team can beat you in a lot of different ways. They want to come take care of the wide receivers and double team and put the blitzes on Jalen. Okay, then Saquon will run wild. The Eagles have a lot of different ways they can beat you. They're not a team that just has one weapon. They've got great wide receivers. Not good, great wide receivers. I'm happy to say that Dallas Goedert, one of the best tight ends in football. I don't know how you rate him.
I do. He's in the top 10 for sure, top 7.
You know, he's back. Their kicking game, their punting game, and they've got a great offensive line, and they have. This is my 49th season, the best offensive line I have been around. The best offensive line coach I've ever been around. In Jets.
I was just going to go there with you with that. I mean, Phil Simms was on my program, and Phil Simms said that it's better than the Cowboy O-line that had Emmett. And I said, Then he asked me because I played against that line. I was on the team for that line and practiced against it. And I said, yeah, I think this is the greatest offensive line in my lifetime during the Super Bowl era, Merrill. I don't think I've ever seen maybe the Steeler line back in the day. Remember when they won 4-6? That was a good one. The Cowboy one was exceptional, but this is the best offensive line I've ever seen. And isn't it a far cry? One of the things under Jeffrey Lurie, when he bought the team from Norman Brayman, one of the things that was always anti-Eagle, you had good old linemen, but you never really had, like the whole Jim Lachey nightmare. Lachey told me everybody, Keith Byers had that thing all signed, sealed, and delivered. He was supposed to be an Eagle. The thing blew up. He went to Washington instead. And ever since he owned the team, that has been a priority with that owner. We are going to have Howard Mudd, and we are going to have Jeff Stoutland and the best O-line, and it's benefited in the best era of football.
Yeah, really. And then they let Jason Kelsey help them scout and look for his replacement. And look what they did there with Cameron Jurgens.
Dude, now that Ragnow's retired, I mean, you can make the argument he's probably one of the top 3, if not top 2 centers in pro football right now. So, Merrill, who you got this weekend at the Open? I'm still going to hang with my boy Scotty. I think he's going to come back from nowhere. He's way down. I know. But that guy's like a superhero, dude. I don't know, man. I don't. Or do you think it's going to be a nobody that's going to end up winning this? Because a lot of times, first-year winners win it.
Well, yeah, Spawn has played very, very well.
Yeah, yes.
Rory had to be in the extra rounds. The sudden that the player to win the Players Championship this year. He's good. There's a lot of great people out there. It's tough to win this Open. But my favorite golfer is Rory. And when I last left the television before you pulled me away, I think he was 8 over, and I think the cut is probably going to be 7 or 8. Wow. But if Rory can get back into it, I mean he can whack it out of that rough as well as anybody, and we'll see. This one will. But somebody could sneak by and win it. Sometimes
I think you're going to see +2 win it.
+2.
+2. That's a tough golf course. I mean, you need binoculars and a shovel and a step ladder at Oakmont if you're going to play, because the bunkers are deep, the rough is tough, and you don't have in-view second shots. So it's a tough golf course to play.
5 will win it. How's that?
Oh, wow. How's that for you? Merrill, have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to you, my friend.
Thank you, Dan. You have a great weekend, too.
You bet. Merrill Reese, the legend himself, joining us here. We really appreciate it. By the way, guys, don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan with over $30 billion recovered, thousands of attorneys from coast to coast. Make sure they do the very best job for you and your family. Listen, the number one reason that Morgan & Morgan is number one is why? Because they win. If you're ever injured, check out my friends at Morgan & Morgan at forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's FOR, thepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sales sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured,